Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Power Play podcast, sponsored by Power Play Sports. Today is November 1st, 2021, and I want to wish a special pre-birthday, happy birthday to our co-host, Trey, who will turn 14 at midnight tonight. Happy birthday, Trey.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Trey. All right.
Awesome. So I'm Michael Ledoux.
I am the Dan Dallin.
I am Cameron Dallin.
And I'm Trey Ledoux.
I'd like to welcome everyone this week. We have the podcast up and running on several venues. The Dan Dallin, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because you've been hard at work.
That's right. So not only are we live here on video, the way you are used to seeing us on Facebook and on YouTube through the Power Play YouTube site, but we are also available everywhere that you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Anchor, you name it. There's a whole bunch of them. I spent a lot of time getting us up about 10 or 12 different podcast sites that I could find. So all of them are called Power Play Podcast NNY. 3 separate words and then NNY. Power Play Podcast NNY is where you can find us on audio, so you can listen to us while you're in the shower, driving the car, performing surgery, working on teeth in the dentist office, whatever it is, wherever you want to be, that you are listening to us tell you about all the great things going on in hockey in upstate northern New York and whatever wackadoo places that we find that we think are cool and interesting for you. That's where you find us. Power Play Podcast NNY, as in northern New York.
Now, Dan, can you find our podcast when you're doing your homework? Because I know a couple of boys that, I don't know, they seem to be doing their homework at the last minute. I've heard a lot lately. Have you had that issue around your house?
It's bizarre. It's they claim it's, I forgot about this. Not that I've been procrastinating because I wanted to eat candy with my buds. I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to party. I wanted to stay up late with the guy that I have to do my project with. But, the 14 hours I was with Sean, I totally didn't think that I had work to do with Sean until I got home.
I didn't bring the poster.
I didn't bring the poster.
Also, I might have forgot my poster for living environment in my locker. That's due tomorrow. I have to finish.
That's great. So we continue to have homework issues everywhere around. So anyways, the dilemma of dealing with 14-year-old young men you guys are hockey players. So today we have a lot of different guests. They're going to be popping in and out as we go through the presentation. And I kind of wanted to start off with Dan talking a little bit about hockey for you this past week. Dan, I know that you were busy with hockey. Estelle and Cam had some different stuff going on. And I noticed Estelle was wearing a 75 jersey that looked like it was made out of hockey tape. Now, what's the story behind that?
So, like any youth hockey organization at the beginning of the season, her jersey just showed up. So we're going to pick it up during practice this week. So she is number 75, and she was playing for Oswego. So that was last weekend. Her first game on an all-girls team as a girl she's always been a girl. That's how she identifies. I didn't force it or anything, right? But on a girls team, she's always been against just playing with the girls. Now she embraces it. She loves it. She skated out. She played a solid defense. She must have gotten it by watching you coach, probably not from her brother.
No, not from her brother.
No.
As can be witnessed by this weekend.
Yeah, she didn't get caught deep once, let alone 3 times in a row, resulting in a game-time goal.
That's kind of. Now, who did they play this weekend, Dan?
So they played Skinny Atlas.
Okay.
So there are 4 girls in their state-bound tournament league. It is Oswego, Rome, Skinny Atlas, and Binghamton.
Okay, and that's 12. Is that 12U?
12U, yes.
Great.
Yes.
Awesome.
So they got a really good team. The coaches are solid. They practice with kids that are brand new to hockey also. Some of them are actually playing on her team as well. So it's really cool. watched one girl develop from knowing nothing about hockey to understanding what offsides was by the third period. It was amazing watching her grow that quickly in 40 minutes.
Awesome. So I'm gonna bounce to Trey and Cam in their week in a little bit. I just want to go over my week and then introduce our first guest. But this week for me, we were busy with some midget evaluations at the Watertown Hockey Association. We did that. We had games this weekend at both the red and white level. Both games were quite competitive. We also took in the midget game yesterday afternoon. Great game, great officials. First time I've seen 4 officials on the ice, and I don't know how long. And I also was able to talk to Adam Roberts from IHC. Adam is going to be the new varsity coach at IHC. So that's awesome. And he's going to jump in on our podcast at some point in the near future. Once he settles down and gets everything figured out, Adam's going to jump on. But before I get too deep into it, our first guest is here. I'd like to welcome Mr. Don Horton, who is the ref scheduling and basically the lead official in our area. And I really like to thank you for coming on, Don. Welcome to our podcast, and thanks for agreeing to join us.
Oh, it's good to be here, Mike. I appreciate the invite. Anytime we can, spread the word about how the officiating's going and what impact the rule changes are having for the upcoming year. If we can spread that word a little bit, I think everybody's better off for it. So thanks for the invite. Awesome.
Don, can you tell us a little bit, I guess your background in hockey, where you come from, where you've been, where you're going, what's going on with your hockey world?
Well, that could take a while, Mike. I mean, I'm 60 years old, so, you got a couple hours, but no, real brief. I mean, I started playing hockey when I was 4 in Watertown, played all the way up through. We did not have high school hockey at the time. I graduated right before they developed high school hockey. So went on, played college hockey at North Country Community College, had a great experience up there. And then, got married, had kids, probably about, first son was born in 88 and, started coaching when he was 4 or 5 and coached all levels of minor hockey for both my boys. They were 2 years apart, so we were always going in different directions, but I was always coaching at some point. And then, got back into officiating. I actually officiated when I was a kid. When Watertown first got the rink, I think I was probably 14 years old when the arena was built. So I started officiating back then, got out of it a little bit when I was coaching just because I didn't have time. But as my old boys were getting a little bit older, then I decided to get back into it. I did coach Indian River High School for 2 years as well. And then I coached, I helped Randy Pound coach IHC as well more recently. But really been officiating ice hockey, Mike, for probably about 40 years, really.
Wow. It's really, it's really neat, Don. And as you know, Trey and I went up to Clarkson and went to the entry level 1 officials clinic, and Trey's 14 and he's looking to bust in. His birthday is actually tomorrow. He turns 14 tomorrow. So we need to get him some work papers and get him up and running as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about the first experience I can tell you that we've had is that we're going offsides all the time at the Bantam level, and we're getting better at it. But I know there's been a lot of rule changes. That's one of the big ones. I know there's some icing rule changes and some different penalty rule changes for the 21-22 season in USA Hockey. So I was hoping you could go over those for our listeners.
Absolutely. So I would say, Mike, that this is probably the biggest rule change year I've experienced. At least that's my recollection. I don't know technically if that's correct or not, but I certainly feel like this year has been most significant rule changes I've ever experienced in my years of officiating.
I would say certainly
right.
changes that are most impactful to the players.
Absolutely, right. Dan. Yeah, I would say that absolutely from 2 standpoints. One, offsides and icing is the core of a lot of hockey since day one, and all of a sudden we've changed both of those rules pretty significantly. The inability for teams to ice the puck when they're a man down anymore. Been that way for a couple years at the U10, 12 and 14, but now it's also true of 16 and 18 as well. So that's a huge change for kids who have been icing the puck their entire careers. And now all of a sudden you're a man down and you're exhausted and you can't ice the puck. And immediate offsides is also, a very common infraction. And now all of a sudden we've completely changed when and where we're going to call that as well. So yeah, impactful changes, absolutely. And then I would say there's two main areas that I've heard about, and I am the local area supervisor for New York State ice hockey. So I do participate in some meetings and go to some clinics and so on that others don't. And there's really two major areas that they're really, really pushing officials to emphasize. One's related to player safety. They're really wanting to emphasize to coaches and players, the only reason for there to be a body check is to gain possession of the puck. That's the only reason. And in that line of thinking, if indeed the only reason to body check is to get control of the puck, then you got to have your stick on or near the ice to get control of the puck. If you're hitting somebody with a perfectly legal check, but your stick's up by your waist, then you're not trying to gain control of the puck. You're simply trying to knock somebody down. So they've really made a lot of changes and emphasized player safety. They're not trying to take checking out of hockey. They're simply trying to make it safer and to emphasize skill development and use of skill. And I've seen the impact of that already. I see so much more skill attempts to play the game at the higher levels. It's stick on puck, and it's trying to get the puck away so you can score a goal and get away from trying to punish players or finish your check or certainly checking a player that's unaware the check is coming and is vulnerable. That's a very dangerous situation. So they're emphasizing player safety. They want to have body contact at the lower levels at the right skill level, and they want body checking at U14 and above, but they want it only if it's to gain possession of the puck.
Right.
And then the second area that they've really emphasized this year is trying to really emphasize zero tolerance. USA Hockey's had zero tolerance for years. I mean, I can't even tell you how many, 15, 20 years. I mean, there's been zero tolerance posters and zero tolerance conversations about abusive officials for a long, long time. The problem is we just have not taken it seriously enough. And, the officials, I think, have had the ability to use the zero tolerance in Rule 601E, which is abusive officials. We've had the ability to make calls for a long time, but we just haven't taken it seriously enough. Well, I'm sure all of you are aware, we're losing officials at every sport, at every level. I mean, hockey's not the only one. I mean, you see the articles about football and baseball and all sports, because I think officials are probably getting a little tired of being abused for really no reason. I said to the coaches at a couple of different coaching clinics I've been at recently, we're all here for the same reason. I mean, officials, coaches, players, parents, grandparents, we all want kids to play hockey. I mean, officials aren't there for any other reason other than they love the game and they want to give the opportunity for kids to play hockey. Because if you don't have officials, it's going to be hard for teams to play. So we're all there for the same reason. So now the officials are taking it serious. We've had the ability for years to use Rule 601E, and now we're going to do it. We are not going to tolerate abuse from the stands, abuse from the benches, or abuse from the players. And I think once that becomes common knowledge and once that becomes routine, I think people will adjust. I really do. But if we've tolerated screaming from the bench for forever, and then why would a coach or why would the parents in the stands stop doing it? We've tolerated it, and to a
Don,
certain
I
extent,
really-
we're not going to tolerate it nearly as much. Go ahead, Dan.
No, I like the way it was broken out too. It was like 601 like it was like 12 different lines in those rule changes where it says like, no, this is how we're defining this. And it really broke it out. So it took a chunk of page, I think. So that helps some people that are doing those quick cursory lookovers of like, oh, so what are the rule changes this year? It jumps out more because that's
Yep.
important, right? Just saying like
Absolutely.
zero tolerance, it's just 2 words, but going into
Yes.
the depth that the changes went to this year, I've witnessed some referees that took that rule seriously years ago and were super quick to eject a parent from a game, very quick.
Yep.
And it changes the tone of the game. And then from that point forward for seasons afterwards, it changed the way that ref did get treated.
Absolutely.
So, here it being from the book and it being so noticeable, I'm hoping really makes that evident for the people, the fans, the parents, as well as the coaches to recognize, hey, right? A referee is barely getting paid more than a volunteer. So, there's got to be that higher level of respect for sure.
Yep. I appreciate that, Dan. And you're right. It added some real context to what we really mean about, it's not okay to scream at an official because he's getting $25 for a squirt game. It really is not okay. And if we don't make a change, then we're all going to have a big problem in the not too distant future. And we're already seeing that in places. I know of a couple of communities up north that don't have any officials this year. So that means officials from other towns are going to have to drive. And now all of a sudden you're driving 45 minutes to do a 1-hour squirt game. It's tough. It's tough. So
Yeah.
And
And I
now
was
we're
at the
seeing-
clinic. Yeah, when I was at the clinic, Don, Matt Jones, who's going to be on later from Adirondack, from Malone, they had about 6 people at the clinic in Malone, and they're actually were paying officials an extra fee to officiate games in Malone, and then giving them like back-to-back games or a couple of games simply because they needed officials to come in because they just didn't have enough people.
absolutely. Yep.
And as you
Yep.
go further and further north, like Malone, Messina, even in Pulaski, you start doing 3 games in a row. Referees don't wear gloves. Man, the ice, the air,
Yeah.
it's cold. It gets
Yep.
cold. I've seen refs come off not being able to let go of the whistle. It's just
Crazy.
stuck.
Oh, don't worry
Now-
about that, guys. I'm the assigner. I give myself all the games in Watertown where it's about 40 degrees. No problem there.
Well, I noticed you had a crew of 4, Don, yesterday at the midget level when I went to watch the 16U, the Northmen play the Watertown Wolves, and you had a crew of 4. You had two linesmen and 2 referees.
Yep. So that's been that way, Mike, for I think this is the 3rd season. That's for state play only. So
Okay.
a U16 or a U18 game that's just a normal, game,
Snowbelt league.
not anything related to state play, then it's going to be back to 2-man. But 4-man at that level is absolutely the way to go. 3-man is obsolete in my opinion. There's no way you can have 1 referee and 2 linesmen at the U16, U18, even U14. You just can't go up and down the ice the way the kids skate these days and how fast the puck moves. So 3-man system is really obsolete. So now you're left with either a 2-man system or a 4-man system. And up north, they don't have enough officials to do the 4-man systems in these Q games. So they're going to continue up there to use a 2-man system. And that's tough. You're calling offsides and icing and penalties at that level of play. That can get pretty challenging. I think it's a much safer environment for everybody, the 4-man system.
Yeah.
Don, as you talk about the safety and the way these rule changes have been evolving, like right now, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around the change in the delayed offsides, how that's is improving the game. But I have noticed over the last few years how the changes of icing at younger levels, how it's moved its way up to older levels, how the changes in body contact has been evolving, the reduction of hits. And so now this new rule with having to have your stick on the ice to be making a play on the puck, I think is fantastic. Because something that my wife and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago that I'm only now through our conversation putting it together where it's coming from. I remember when my oldest first joined hockey, the older levels, the 18U then, the high school hockey then, it was a total bloodbath. I mean, there was a fight every game. You were guaranteed to have at least one high school player kicked out of every single game or out of a midget game. And now the kids that are now 18, it's just not that way anymore. And I have to attribute that, right? What has been going on across the board has been these progressive rule changes in USA hockey. So I mean, my hat's off to that. I'm still doing the research to understand how the offside thing is going to really pay out. But you know what?
Yep.
They've already done it, so I'm going to believe it.
One of the things I noticed, and one of the coaching adjustments we've kind of made on that is, as the, you know, if the puck comes out of the zone and goes into the neutral zone, you can't re-engage. So the defensemen oftentimes have to either backpedal or they have to play the puck, wide. They have to pay it to the far wing before it goes across the board. So you kind of have to coach in that direction where, hey, let's get out of the zone and let's spread the ice surface a little bit to move the puck left to right or right to left, so that, because you can't move it forward. I think kids will get used to it more and more. Cam, has it been tough for you? I mean, you play defense. Has it been tough for you with that offside, with offsides the way it is now?
A little bit, because like how you're telling our offense to be right when it comes out of the zone, all three offensemen are going straight after the puck. Because if we dump it in, if our offensemen are not back on sides, it's offside. Because usually we're able to dump it in, we're able to have a chance to change. Now we have to actually find a good time to change.
Right. Absolutely.
So how are you playing that differently now, Cameron? How's this year's plan for defense in that situation different than last year's?
Usually if it gets past, gets shot out back to me and it gets taken offside, I'll skate it back to our blue line. So we get a bit extra time, and I'll look at our other defenseman, see if he's open, or give him a chance to change if he needs it, and then look for the far offenseman on the opposing blue line.
Right. And that's kind of how we're doing it. And then, coaching it from an attack position is if they're not getting out of the zone, I'm having my forwards go right to the puck carrier, double the puck carrier, because if they're not going to get the guys out of the zone, then we're gonna go after the puck carrier and maybe cause a turnover. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching that neutral zone play as an analyst and an announcer. Just right now, it's a lot of ping pong going on in the neutral zone. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Trying to call a game, but I'm looking forward to watching that evolve.
Yeah.
Now, Don, before we think about letting you go, I want to touch one other rule change that I've noticed, but I haven't seen enacted, I should say, is the penalty minutes, right? The minor penalty minutes. It's in there as 402 note, but it shortens all of the penalty times by 30 seconds at their respective levels practically. But I have not seen that in gameplay yet.
Yep, and that was one of it might be the first time I've ever noticed where they wrote into the rule book, they wanted to give local associations the ability to modify the penalty times based on the length of the periods, and that's pretty unique. I don't know that they've written in the rule book, hey, let's let the local area decide how we're going to implement this. So New York State Amateur Hockey did indeed produce a document that specifies what the length of penalties are going to be based on the length of the period. So we did hand that document out. Mike, I don't know if you got into that discussion at all in the clinic up north. But we did. We handed out the clinic I held in Clayton. We handed out the document. It doesn't affect U14 and above. This is only U12 and below. And it does specify what the length of the penalties are going to be based on the length of the period, right down to, geez, if it's less, I think it's less than 36 minutes of playing time, the penalties in the squirt level, or peewees for that matter, are 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay.
When's the last time you saw a 1 minute penalty?
Right.
So the problem is the officials kind of have to be the timekeeper on that, because the scorekeepers, the volunteers in the keeping score and running the clock, they're not going to know. Why? How would they know?
We're using cheat sheets on how to run the time clock from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It would be very beneficial to post that New York State document on the scorers table in the arenas if we could.
Yeah.
Watertown's easier to administer that kind of stuff, right? Because the rink, the penalty or the timekeeping bench is rated ice level. Clayton and A Bay is tough. I mean, the scorekeepers in A Bay's across the rink and on the second level, and Clayton's not quite as bad. It's right by the benches, but it is at a higher level. So it's hard to administer these things sometimes, depending on the rink situation. But definitely, we are keeping our eye on the length of the periods, which determines the length of the penalties. Again, at U10, U12 only. U14, 2-minute penalties, 5-minute majors, 10-minute misconducts, and above. That's still the case.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're still wrapping our hands around it too, quite honestly, Don, because I was at both our 14U red and our 14U white games this weekend, and the red, for some reason, the red game, the penalties were 2 minutes, and the white game, the penalties were 1.5 minutes, and I think they were supposed to be 1.5 minutes throughout, according to Snowbelt. So I think we need to get that sheet and get it into the box, because Dan picked up on that, and I didn't.
Is a great point. They mentioned that in the refs room when I was getting ready for the U16Q game, that there's a conflicting Snowbelt rule with what the New York State hockey determined. So, I don't know who makes that decision. Does one trump the other? And
right.
We just need to decide which we're going to go with and keep it consistent.
Well, if we know if the Snowbelt game is going to be 1:30, because that's what's in the USA Hockey rule book. But New York State, all other games besides Snowbelt, is going to be 2 minutes. Then, right, we just got to clarify that and just know ahead of time. That's all.
Yeah. So I guess last question.
Where can we get that? I'm sorry. Where can we get that that document? Is there a state website that I can go to make sure we have that?
I got it emailed to me, Dan. I'll make sure Mike has a copy of it, and then he can distribute it out.
Yep, for sure.
Excellent.
And last question, Don, before we switch gears, and I think you already had your clinic for locally for officials, but if somebody were looking to become an official, and I know there's a lot of young men and women too, in the 14, 15-year-old age category that might be interested, how do they go about doing that? Is there anything left in 21, 22 for them to be able to do that, or do they have to wait?
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised if there's any clinics left this year, Mike.
Okay.
Usually, ours is one of the last ones to be run, because quite honestly, we wait for their ice to be available. And, some areas have ice 12 months a year, and obviously we don't. So our clinic is normally one of the last ones of the season. Although I would, if people are interested, they can always go to the official section of USA Hockey website. And they do give you the ability to look for a clinic there, because, last year we started using online clinics, right? We weren't all brick and mortar type instructions. So we moved to Zoom last year. And by all means, if there could very well be a Zoom clinic run out of Long Island that normally you wouldn't want to travel to, but if it's online, who cares?
Right.
So, check the USA Hockey website, go to the official section, look for the list of clinics and see if there's anything left in New York State this year. But that is a barrier, quite honestly, to getting new officials, is you got to go to a clinic. Every official's got to go to a clinic every year. No way around it. So if there aren't any clinics left this year, which my sense is there isn't, you're probably going to have to look for next season.
Awesome. All right, Don. Well, kind of last minute, I hit you up this weekend. I know you're busy. We definitely appreciate you jumping on. We appreciate everything you do for hockey in our region, and been to a bunch of games already this year. Just positive things to say about the officials that we've had in our handful of games and what I've seen on the ice. So I look forward to seeing you at the rink, and thank you, guys. Anybody else have anything real quick before Don jumps off?
Nothing quick, but probably for another 45 to 90 minutes. Sure. But
right.
No,
all right. Well,
thank you, Doc.
Thanks for the invite, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity to get the word out. And thanks, Dan, for the questions. Cameron and Trey, have a great remainder of your season. Trey, I look forward to working with you at some point.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Bye,
Thanks,
all.
Don. Make it a great
thank you.
day.
All right.
Wow. A lot to talk about there, huh?
Yes.
Plenty more.
Plenty. Yeah. Geez, I could pick his brain all day long, but we have to shift gears, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the Watertown Hockey Association and the upcoming Bantam tournament. And we have Mrs. Vega nodding and Mrs. Mercedes Nethers on board. They're heading up the tournament that we're having coming up here in early November. So I'm going to start with you, Vega, and then we'll pass the torch over to Mercedes. Can you just tell us a little bit about your hockey family? I think that's the first thing I want to know.
So I have two players. I have a first year Bantam and a first year Pee Wee. We've been with Watertown Hockey only. We started in the fall of 2017. Our oldest was interested in playing hockey, and we reached out to Anthony Netto, found Watertown Hockey Association, and never even been in skates. And he said, buy some rollerblades, which we did. And their first time on the ice was their first practice, both boys. So our youngest, he's a goalie. I feel like that's our punishment for not giving him the option. We were like, you're playing too. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to be a goalie. So here we are. We've never been a sideline family. We've been involved. I started as a fundraising director right that first season that we started. I've been a board member since 2018. Very involved, and we love it. We love Watertown hockey, and we've met the best families. It's been great.
It's awesome. And Vega, you do so much for our association. You're serving as the vice president now, but I mean, if there, you're changing hats like 10 times a day. So really appreciate everything you do. We'll jump in. Mercedes, wearing the Detroit Red Wing shirt. I love it. Tell us a little bit about lots of happenings at the Nethers family. Carter finally got back on the ice this week. That was really cool. So tell us what's going on in the hockey world with the Nethers family.
Oh yeah, Carter finally got back on the ice, and it's all he's wanted to do, obviously, for the last couple months. So that's fun. And then we got the other littles starting, learn to play through power play. So that's exciting. It's gonna be extra busy, more than it already has been, but that's what we live for, is hockey in our house, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, men's league.
Mercedes, it sounds like you're still holding your breath from Carter's first shift. I know I was holding mine his entire shift.
I know. It is. It's rough. It's hard for me sometimes to watch now hockey. It's a different perspective than it was ever before, between his spleen injury and then his back, but he's determined to continue playing hockey. So
I didn't even know where the spleen was until Carter injured his playing hockey over the summer.
Yeah, I know, right?
My youngest daughter, Estelle, she's like, where's your spleen? I'm like, let's Google it. I don't know. It's like here somewhere.
Yeah, I ended up Googling in the car. We were all in the car that time.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Biology class in the back seat of the vans.
Yeah.
Always interesting.
Yeah. Well, leave it to Carter Nethers to make an exciting day out of anything, really, quite honestly. That was a scary day for us for sure. So that's great. Vega, tell us a little bit about the upcoming tournament, I guess. Who's in it? What's going on? I guess
So
is what I want.
we're full. We finalized that today. We're very excited about that. We have 4 teams in the white division. We have Troy, Albany, Center State, Whitestown, and Watertown in the white division. And Mercedes, you have remind us who's in the red division, please.
Yeah, I will. We have Adirondack 46ers. There's Cicero Chill, Canton committed. I think Southern Tier, Binghamton. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then us, obviously, in the, I don't know how to pronounce it. Ramapo.
Ramapo, yeah.
Ramapo, yes.
Yeah.
They're from like New York City area, right?
Yeah. Yep. They're coming a ways, so that's exciting. Yeah.
So it's really exciting. Tournaments are our biggest fundraiser as an association, really. And we do a great job at tournaments, and to get so much interest from so much early on in the season was really great, especially from when Mercedes said, oh, we have this team from New York City. We have everyone wants to come to Watertown. We do a great job. So The fact that we've locked everyone in, so early on is really exciting.
Sure.
So we're gonna have to talk a little bit about our ice presence during the tournament, right? So I will totally commit to live streaming. This weekend, I had a horrible time with the internet uploads. I don't know what was wrong.
It's the internet upstairs. It's like that sometimes, but yeah.
So I wasn't using Wi-Fi, right? I
Oh.
found an outlet jack. I plugged it. No, so yeah, I go to a rink. I am not afraid to pull on wires and remove things, whatever. I've learned I have to leave the live barn plugged in. That is critical. Outside of that, though, yeah. So I touch stuff. It's okay. But
So you couldn't broadcast. You had a hard time broadcasting the other day?
I did. If you go back to my YouTube channel and watch the playback, the video is horrible most of the time, and I could not figure out why. I rebooted. I needed a new stream. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I've got like 12 days. This is not a problem. But I want to also announce live in the rink, right? In the arena. Right. That's how I was born. So I need to get inside that booth to do it right. I can steal from.
So you're going to call all the games?
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
I've
I
got
like
a
that.
wireless
That's
headset,
fancy.
or I can go. So I can live announce in the rink. I could really make it feel like you're at the All-Star game while I'm live streaming. Those are two things that I can multitask with. Outside of that, no, I almost burnt dinner tonight because I left the house while I was cooking. I forgot. But let's still save the day on that. So anyway, yeah, I don't know who we need to talk to get into that booth, right? The Wolves are owned by new owners this year. I don't know them.
Well, and it's really, I think it's the city. So
Yeah.
certainly I can find out about that. I know I reached out to you about like doing that. Let me
Yeah.
find out. I'll get you an
Yeah.
answer and we'll get you in there for sure.
Excellent. If we need to tell people to vote accordingly for tomorrow, let me know. I got the speaker. I'll drive around town.
Yeah.
That's correct. All right. What about any type of donations? Well, two questions, actually. I'm looking at my list of questions. One of them is, can people make donations to the tournaments? And then the other thing is, what about upcoming tournaments? And I know you two are focused really on the bantam level, but I think our other levels also have some tournaments coming up as well, right?
Mhm.
Vega's good with that stuff.
So,
Upcoming tournaments.
yes, donations. Definitely we take donations. We do like, sometimes folks want to donate from a company or from, an agency. If they want it to be level specific, we just need that to be specific, like, hey, to the bantams, so we can take that as, and split it between the teams. Or if they want it to go to the organization, just be specific, like, hey, we just want it to be Watertown Hockey Association. Usually for tournaments, they think they're donating to a specific team. We just need to know that so we can allocate the money. Everything is going to Watertown Hockey. I mean, that's how it's lowering our registration rates and it's going to everything that we get, all of our perks and ice time. So it's all kind of really the same bucket, but just, and we will definitely recognize everyone who is donating the same. We do have other tournaments coming up. So we do have Squirts. We've already had a lot of interest in that as well. That's in December 3rd through the 5th, I believe, or 4th through the 6th. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. But we already had, they're almost closed with that registration as well. And then we do have Pee-wees, which will be in the beginning of February. I think that's the 3rd through the 5th. But we've always, like I said, we've really kind of learned that this is, we have a great rink, we have close hotels, we put on a great tournaments. So that's kind of what's going on. We're going to have some great raffles and great raffle items at our Bantam tournament. So we welcome anyone to come and look and donate and just come watch some hockey.
Yeah, it's a good time. Hopefully the outreach from the podcast will help. Real quick before we go, both of you have some involvement. Our sponsor, as you know, is Power Play Sports. And both of you have some involvement in the Power Play Sports Foundation. And I know that I think Vega, you were instrumental in working with Paul and Anthony to get it up and running. And I know Glory Construction your company has been has set up the outdoor rink last year, and your husband Chris has done a lot of the preparation. So if you guys could just talk a little bit about your involvement and thoughts about the Power Play Sports Foundation.
Yeah, Vega, you want to explain the
Sure.
foundation? I wasn't really understanding that before.
Yeah. So,
recently.
so Power Play Sports Foundation, which is separate from Power Play Sports, which a lot of people don't always understand. This was a vision that Paul and Anthony had, and Christy Trimper also had, you know, as kind of a separate entity. So in the fall of 2019, the four of us really got together, and if you can remember what you know, when they were still over in their old rink,
Right.
what it looked like, the glass. The first time we met, we had probably 250 sticky notes up on the glass, brainstorming what we thought this should look like for our community, what the vision was, what we could bring to the community. And, you know, there's so many things that we are doing behind the scenes. You know, we created a nonprofit since that time, which took a lot of work.
Right.
And so everyone always kind of attributes the outdoor rink, which was really our biggest thing. That was amazing that we were able to do that. Thank you to the Nethers family and all of our volunteers to be able to do that. But we have had a lot of successes behind the scenes that no one, you know, not everyone knows. You know, we donate. We've had donations for gear and for registration for other sports. It's not just hockey. It's for every sport. We've bought bikes. You know, we've outfitted kids for lacrosse. We've done all sorts of things for families that may not have the means. And, you know, we've gotten some great grants. Thank you to, you know, Northern Community Foundation and families that we know who kind of like put us in place to kind of get those things. So getting the word out, but the outdoor rink, you know, that's kind of our biggest thing. And yeah, thank you to Chris and Mercedes that they have kind of like headed that up, and it's
that's coming up too, right? Mercedes, he's going to be doing that soon, isn't he?
Yep. So they're gonna this weekend they're gonna meet to start planning and coming up with you know, what they need for funds and people and volunteers to help, because it's obviously a big project.
Right.
Chris and Glory Construction, they do the, you know, excavating and all that, the property, and but you know, there's a lot of funds, so they always are looking for donations. You know, they're still doing a can bottle drive right now. You can drop right off there. Cash, obviously, checks, whatever. Because you know, there's a lot of expenses even for an outdoor rink, a lot.
Right.
You know, there's new liners and insurance they have to have, everything. So there's a lot to it those guys do, which is awesome for the community, because you know, who doesn't love some outdoor ice? And they don't have to have it in the backyard, and it's a lot of work in your backyard.
I know. And we skated on it last year. It was really fun. So we'll keep everybody up to date. I know I'm in touch with Chris all week, so we're going to keep anybody up to date so that if he does have a work day scheduled, we're going to try to get some volunteers to help out with that for sure, because they got to set up all the boards and the glass, and you know, he's out there with an excavator and all that stuff. So we will help out with that. Well, that's good. Good stuff. Anything else, Dan?
As far as Power Play Sports and Watertown Hockey Association and tournaments, boy, I don't know. I'm curious the food situation during the tournaments.
Can we eat in the rink? Are we allowed to eat in the rink? Bring stuff in, Vega? That's a good question.
No,
I always think
outside food. This is where I'm going. Absolutely, Mike.
Yeah. So you know what we've done? It's so like hit or miss with the city and the concession. We've done it before. We've brought in, especially in the morning. You know, we kind of have like a tournament committee, which like Nikki McGregor, Amanda Gregory, and both of them have said, I haven't done this before, but they've said they've brought in like coffee and like sold it, you know, donation only until the concession stand opens in the morning. We've also done, you know, we've brought in pizzas. We've done that before. As long as the concession stand isn't open, which we don't always know when they are going to be open.
Yeah, we went to the midget game last night and it wasn't open. Trey and I were talking about it.
At the game?
Last night, the midget game, the concession game, the concession stand wasn't open. Trey Trey
And
and I
that's a
got
huge
there, and we
loss.
were looking for. I wanted some popcorn.
See, my first business that I ran and the first sales job I had was in the 3rd grade when I was buying gum from the corner store and reselling it in school.
We all did that, Dan.
Yeah. Right. Well, I got in trouble because I wasn't collecting sales tax, not from the state, but that was the excuse I got from the principal. I was like, it's always the man.
All right.
Anyway, so I'm all about asking forgiveness. And in my
Yes.
thought, the concession stand sells nachos, chips, and hot dogs. If we had crock pot meals of, like cowboy chili, regular chili, cheesy bacon potato soup, and asked for $3 donations a bowl or as you see fit. I mean, it's not direct competition. It's alternatives,
Right.
Vega,
yes,
what about that room you guys meet in, Vega? That little.
I
with
know. Well,
hide something up there.
So I know. The problem that's actually like the rink guys break room.
Okay.
But we have done things like in the hallway before, like when we've done pizza, because you don't have anyone from the concession stand coming down the hallway, like where the locker rooms are. So, that's something we can definitely think about. And I think we plan on probably this week we'll meet with, tournament, anyone who's interested in talking tournament stuff, and we can certainly bring that up, but it is a good idea. We talk about it every year and we never know what to do because
Right.
everyone leaves to eat. So
I say we throw it out there for the first weekend. Worst case scenario, Bantams make a killing and we all get in trouble, but we keep the
Right.
money and we go.
right. What are they going to do? Right.
Forgiveness, not
that's
forgiveness,
I
not
like
permission.
your thoughts, Dan.
Right? There you
Yeah, I
go.
like it.
Yeah,
Got me in trouble before, but I'm still here, right?
Like it.
Would you have, Trey? Anything good?
everyone wants the cheesy baked potato soup.
It sounds good.
Yes.
It's
Well,
a fan favorite when we did tournaments at Salmon River.
oh wow.
saying.
Hey, well, Vega and Mercedes, thank you very much for all you do for so many different, just for our association, for hockey in general, for Power Play, for the foundation. We truly appreciate it. We appreciate you being guests. And we're going to, hopefully the folks that are tuning in later this week learn a little bit about what we're doing, and we drive some attendance and interest to our tournament schedule. So
Yeah,
thanks
whether they're getting this interest from the YouTube channel or the Facebook sharing, or from wherever they're listening to their favorite podcast, because we're available on all of those
everywhere.
platforms.
We're everywhere now.
I'm on Apple. I subscribed on Apple today.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's good news. I couldn't get it out to everyone fast enough. I just want you to know Dan did the hard work, and I'm like, I'm getting that podcast out to everybody.
Yeah, it's great.
So good job,
Awesome.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for all
Great.
that fun.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
guys. Bye.
Have a
Bye.
great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Make
Have
it
a good night.
Awesome. So wow, that was interesting, huh? A lot going on there.
Yes.
Wow. So next up, Power Play Podcast. We're going way up north, right? We're going up to the Adirondack 46s and the Malone Minor Hockey Association. And we're pleased to be joined by Jay Perras and Matt Jones from Malone to talk a little bit about the programs that they have up there. I can tell you, Dan, and I can tell you, Cameron, Trey would say the same thing. We went up there to play a game against their 14U team, and boy, oh boy, that was a fun game, and it was super competitive. We had a great time. We were treated like royalty up there, and it was just, I know it was going to be a great experience because I know Matt and they do hockey right. The rink up there looks absolutely beautiful. I don't know the last time you've seen it, but it looks great up there.
Listen, Mike, it's further north than parts of Canada, for crying out
I
loud.
know,
but it's
bro.
still
Man,
New
I
York.
see too
Yeah.
many Montreal Canadiens jerseys when I go into that rink. It gives me a palpitations in the heart. I'm a Bruins fan, and I get up there, I'm like, what are these people wearing these things for? So, anyways, let's Matt, why don't you kick it off? Matt and Jay. Matt, tell us a little bit about what's going on. Actually, tell us a little bit about yourself to start, Matt, and then you, Jay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having us tonight. Definitely have enjoyed watching the first few episodes of this podcast. It's awesome to see what you guys are doing so far. Really getting North Country hockey on the map, which is awesome. So just a little bit about myself. I grew up actually in Canada and then moved over to New York. Lived in the Malone area for a while, and then I went away to college, played hockey at Hamilton College down in central New York. So been a little bit all over New York State, and then actually coached in prep school for a little while, New England prep school at Vermont Academy. And then moved home and started jumping into Malone minor hockey. And Jay Perras is actually, when I moved back, he was the president of Malone minor hockey, and really started to get things moving in the right direction for Malone minor hockey. So definitely excited for the things that Jay started, and now we actually partner together. He's the vice president of our association. I'm the president. So we worked hand in hand to really try to get things moving.
That's awesome. And what about your family's involvement? Do you have any children that play, or?
Yep. So I have two daughters. One is Ava is 8 years old, and Maggie is 9, going to be 10 years old. So Ava plays on our 8U Mite Red team, and Maggie plays on our 10U Junior Huskies Red team as well. Both of them also play on, Ava plays on our 8U Girls Adirondack 46ers split season team, and Maggie also plays on our Adirondack 46ers 10U Girls split season team.
Wow, that's great. I love everything about, Matt, I love everything about girls hockey, women's hockey, huge fan. My daughter had the privilege of skating with you and playing with you for about a year and a half after with things in the Canton Blades and in your association. And it was just a great experience. So
Hey, Matt, can I ask you to explain what that 8 and 10U split seasons are? Because I understand what split season is around high school hockey. But your 10-year-olds are not playing high school, are they?
No, so it's kind of exactly.
They got Canadian blood. They could be. Right?
Well, I like to hear all the comments about the Canadians, because I'm a huge Canadians fan, and I don't necessarily like to see that Bruins hat on.
I know you don't.
But so what we do, that's a great question. What we actually do from a split season standpoint for those levels is right now for my daughters, because they do enjoy sometimes playing on an all girls team. So before the season, I'd say before the regular winter season starts, kind of in that middle of October, beginning of November timeframe, they actually play on a split season girls team. So they'll play some tournaments in the fall time, do some practices with that 8U and 10U girls team. And then when they get to the regular winter season, I would call it, they play on their co-ed team. So Ava plays on the co-ed Mite team, and Maggie plays on the co-ed 10U Squirt team. And then once we get back to the springtime, we pick back up a little bit of the girls hockey. But kind of our philosophy on the girls side is that, probably until they get to 12U, even, sometimes 14U, we really like the girls still playing co-ed hockey, still having that push and all that stuff as well. But also understand that, sometimes when you get a group of girls together, they really enjoy playing with each other as well. So kind of give them a little bit of mix of that flavor of all girls hockey, but also continue to play that co-ed hockey, which especially at the 8U and 10U levels, the girls on those co-ed teams definitely help our numbers as well.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. I'd never even thought of it that I like that arrangement, because then your girls teams still support the co-ed teams. And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And plus, it's a great time for us to start to introduce girls hockey to some of the girls, because we definitely have some girls that get pretty sad when our split season team stops, just because they really enjoy doing the girls thing, sometimes a little bit more than the co-ed, but we definitely want to push them both ways, because it really helps with our numbers as well at those other levels.
Yeah, sure. And Dan's daughter is playing right now in Oswego, right? So.
Right. Yeah, she opted to not play co-ed, so she could be on a girls team throughout the year. So that's that's interesting situation. We don't have ice in the summer, though. It's not, we don't have outdoor rinks in the summer like you guys do up there.
Yeah. Oswego's got a great girls program as well. I can tell you, as Mike was saying, when we started girls program up here in Malone, kind of the two associations that I would say were almost our sister associations partners in really trying to help us grow girls hockey was Oswego minor hockey, and also the Canton Blades association team as well. Those were two teams that, when we were starting girls hockey, and we had teams that had girls from 8 years old to 13 on the same team, just so we had enough numbers. Canton and Oswego were two associations that helped us out, said, absolutely, come on over and play. We'll figure it out what we got to do from a team standpoint. So very supportive organizations as far as girls hockey.
That's great. Jay, bring us from the beginning to a state championship last year at the 16U level. So I'd love to hear about all of that. And I know there's probably a lot to go over. So welcome to the podcast. We appreciate you jumping on board, especially at the last minute.
Yeah, no, listen, thanks for having myself and Matt. And, it was great to hear about what you guys are doing. I think anytime that we can, extend the voice of North Country hockey and stuff. I actually spent a little bit of time in Watertown here and there. I work for a company out of there. So you guys have done a great job in Watertown with the arena and, building that program up. So it's cool to kind of have some similar successes and be able to talk about them. So, yeah, I was born in Glens Falls, New York, and quickly moved up to Plattsburgh, and kind of at the age of 5, and was involved in the Plattsburgh Roadrunner program over there that you guys probably still hear about every once in a while. And played travel hockey all my life, just kind of caught the bug when I was 5, and was fortunate enough growing up to just have a bunch of great friends that stuck together and won a couple of state championships in youth hockey. And then I went to St. John's Academy in high school, and we were able to win 3 more there. So that was cool. You don't get those things happen too often. And, it really kind of spoke volumes of the guys that I grew up with. So it's a little unique. Every once in a while you lose kids and they go in different directions. We were ones that all stuck together. So that was cool. And I left high school, went and played out in the USHL for the Dubuque Fighting Saints, and then played at Sioux City. And then after that, I went out to the British Columbia Junior Hockey League, which was pretty cool. Didn't think I was going to move that far away from home, but spent a year out there before I came back to college, and wound up one of my high school buddies was the assistant coach at SUNY Potsdam, and kind of hooked up with them, and it had a great opportunity there, and was able to win a SUNYAC championship against Plattsburgh State in my hometown. So kind of rubbed a little bit of salt in the wounds, but I had an opportunity to go to Plattsburgh State my senior year and kind of finish out my college career there. And it was pretty awesome. So I went home. My parents were super excited, and believe it or not, played with a guy that was a freshman. I was a senior. He was my defensive partner back in high school. So we
Really?
Yeah, they sat next to each other in the locker room, couldn't believe it, and wound up being defensive partners that year, and was able to get another SUNYAC, and so it was fun. We weren't really a hockey family growing up. My brother was really kind of into baseball, kind of went that route, and but yeah, it's been good to me, and I really was looking for ways when I started my family with my wife Kathleen, and we had my daughter Julie and Cam. We moved over to Malone, New York, and the first thing I was trying to figure out is where's the hockey rink? How do I gravitate towards something that I know a lot about and just enjoy being around? So that's really where it started, and I've been here ever since. I think my daughter's 17 now, so we've been in Malone for 17 years, and it's been really cool to just see the growth of it. It was a challenge for us when we got over here. There was like 80 kids in our association. They were figuring out how to try to turn on the lights, and we just got a bunch of great people together in the community, a lot of business minded people. And we had to start from scratch, and it's been an amazing ride. And I think I'm extremely fortunate. My kids are starting to age out a little bit right now, and Matt got involved, and he's been around for a lot of years now, and we swapped seats, which has been good. He's doing an amazing job with all this stuff. So it's nice to be able to kind of pass the torch to somebody that's got a lot of passion like Matt.
For sure. I hear that BCJHL, and I think the greatest player to ever play in the BCJHL was Paul Correa. Does that ring a bell? You ever heard of Paul Correa?
Kind of funny story. So I go out there, and I'm playing in Merritt, British Columbia. I pull into this town, and it's a logging town in the middle of the mountain range. And so we go out and we play, our first 10 games of the season, preseason, stuff like that. We play against this kid, Paul Correa, and I'm sitting on the bench, absolutely dumbfounded. I'm like watching this guy. The play's down in his end of the ice, and he's skating circles around our goalie in our end. And then he just casually skates back up the ice while the play's coming into the zone. The play goes in the zone. He loops out near center ice, then comes right down the middle of the slot, and then he just controls the game from there. He was averaging like 5.5 points a game that season. You
Yeah.
couldn't hit him. You could not touch him. It didn't matter how much you thought you had him lined up. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't Scott Stevens, but
No, they caught up with him.
it did catch up to. There's only so many times you could run in front of a truck, but
Yeah.
you know, he left after that year. He was
Yeah.
on his way to Maine, and obviously we all have heard of him. He's a Hobie Baker winner, but
Yeah.
one of the
Amazing.
best guys. What a class act, and just absolutely amazing to watch play hockey.
Yeah. Had a buddy that might have played out there with you in Plattsburgh. Kid that played for me, kid by the name of Tim Pelletier. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, me. Oh my God, he's got the loudest mouth in the world.
Oh boy.
He'll tell you, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
he's in the room when he's there. We just had an alumni weekend about a month ago back. I was hoping to see him there. He's always one that I've always considered a good friend, and he's just got that thick Boston accent.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he makes you laugh.
Heck of
He's
a
big
family,
guy.
good family from my hometown actually. And I coached when I coached in the Eastern Junior Hockey League. Timmy played high school hockey at Bishop Girton High School, which was one of our rivals at Nashua. So yeah. If you run my name by him, I'm sure it'll jog up some old memories. That's for sure.
I hope to touch base with him still. He's a great guy.
Awesome. So tournaments, what's going on in the hockey world right now up in Malone? What do you guys have? Yeah, I saw a bunch of tournaments posted on social media and elsewhere.
Yeah, so we've really tried to see what we could do as far as tournaments. During the winter season, obviously it gets a little cold up here, and some of the things to do is play hockey and ski in Malone. We have Titus Mountain in Malone as well, so a little bit of a attraction to our town here. So we actually are putting on right now. We have 4 tournaments that are scheduled. Our first one is coming up here Thanksgiving weekend. We call it our Jacob Devendorf Memorial 8U Turkey Shootout. It's actually the 4th year that we're going to be hosting it. It's a great event. It's mites, it's half ice. In the past, we've had up to 19, almost 20 teams in the tournament in the past. Obviously, with COVID in our location, it slowed down a few things. We used to have more Canadian teams that would participate in some of our tournaments, but we've actually had a great interest in our tournaments so far. For that one, we actually have teams from Malone, Plattsburgh, Chazy, Rouse's Point, some teams from Vermont that are coming over for that so far. So that's going to be a good one. The next one we have is the first year we're doing it. It's called the 2022 10U New Year's Cup. So it's a 10U level tournament. We haven't had the 10U level before. It's the first year doing it. We're hosting that the weekend of December 31st. So right there around New Year's. We're going to stop the tournament early to make sure that families can enjoy themselves for the New Year's. And then we're also going to start later on Saturday morning to make sure that people can get the proper rest that they might need after some festivities that night.
Yeah.
So we're going to be holding that one. Actually, we've had some really great interest in that as well. We have teams from Canton, St. Lawrence Steel, Malone, Plattsburgh, actually Watertown 10U team is playing in it. Syracuse Blazers and North Country from Rouse's Point are all signed up so far for that tournament. So definitely shaping up to be a good one as well. And then actually in January, from January 15th to the 17th, that weekend, we're hosting again another first tournament for us, but the 2022 12U Dangle Fest. So it's a B and C level tournament, 2 different divisions. For that one, we already have teams from Malone, North Country, Plattsburgh, Clifton Park, Adirondack, Mid-Hudson, and Potsdam signed up for that one so far. So it should be a good one. And then the last one, which is actually going to be the 6th annual girls tournament that we host. So it's called the Girl on Fire tournament. And we actually are spreading it out this year over 2 weekends. Last year, we had about 16 teams, I think, participating in it. And just with our one rink, we had teams that were starting at 7 in the morning and we weren't getting done till 11 at night. So we've decided to actually spread it out over 2 weekends. So from March 18th to the 20th, we'll have 8U, 10U, and 12U girls teams playing that weekend. And then March 25th to the 27th, we will have 14U, 16U, and 19U girls teams playing that weekend. Again, already some great interest. We have obviously all of our Adirondack 46ers girls teams will be playing at their respective levels. We have teams from Clifton Park, Canton Blades, Messina River Queens, North Country Selects, and some other teams sprinkled around the New York State that are participating. So always a good thing, especially for us here in Malone. It definitely helps out our association from a fundraising standpoint, but we really have some great support from area businesses as well. We have a little something that has kind of become popular, and we're doing it in all of our tournaments now. It's called the DQ Grill and Chill Challenge. So at the end of every game that we have in our tournaments, the player of the game gets to try to shoot on what we call is a dummy goalie that we put in the middle. But if they're able to score on the goalie, then the entire team gets free ice cream at Dairy Queen.
Ooh,
If the player misses, then one of the coaches have an opportunity to win it for their team as well. So it's generally a pretty fun event. All the kids want to do it, and when they get to win some ice cream, usually it's pretty fun for them.
Absolutely, it sounds like a great time. So a lot going on.
What was the weekend for the 12U girls?
So the 12U girls is March 18th to the 20th.
Putting that down in the notes for your team, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're busy.
You don't know that far ahead.
I do. That's the weekend. That's the New York State tournament for Cameron's team there.
You can split. You can take the girls one way, and then your wife can take Cameron the other way.
Yeah, we just got to know where that's going to be, right?
I know we'll be going down to the Girl Power tournament in Oswego too in the middle of January. We'll be bringing our 8U, 10U, and 12U girls teams down to that. That's always a really good tournament as well.
This will be my first time experiencing that. And that booth, see, I was saying earlier for the Watertown, you guys, I think we're on for then. The Oswego booth, I know. I announced there for the Oswego Stampede, and I did my best to improve the sound quality in that arena. No promises,
no.
But I know where to hook up though for the Wi-Fi where we used it, because the Stampede right there in A3HL had to broadcast every game. So I'm pretty sure I know where their reliable link up is, so I can live stream those games for us.
Yeah.
I won't even charge for that game.
Well, you're so busy. You have to get used to being in two places at once.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to teach some people how to do this live streaming thing and how to do the calls.
Hey, Jay, tell us a little bit about the 16U team. I would like to know. Yeah, I think you guys won the state championship last year, right?
Yeah, we well, with
Mike, it's okay to take notes during this part, dude.
I am, because our 14U team. We're gonna go for it.
Yeah, no, it was it's kind of, this is my third year at the 16U level. My son wanted to do something with another group, and he wound up playing for a different group a couple of years ago. So I hopped up and stayed with some of our kids that have been together for a while, because they were just moving up age group. So this is my third year, but last year was just a pretty unique year. The first year I got involved, we went right into the COVID thing. It was a week before states. The team that we had was undefeated in the season and was just super strong. And then we had to tell the kids, like, hey, we're not going. They canceled states. So it was a heartbreaker. And, that for some of those kids, it was probably their only opportunity that they were going to get, to get there. So, some moved on now. They're going to college and things like that. And some of them are with our 18U group, which is pretty strong. But last year's group with COVID was, it was practice all year long. And we found ourselves in a lot of opportunities to scrimmage each other and do the best to make a game like. And we just got lucky as far as states happening. I know it came right up to the week before states, and people were wondering if it was going to go on. And, so they had sectionals, which is something we haven't seen up here in a while. And our team did extremely well in sectionals, had some really tough games. We won one in sectionals in overtime, but went down to Buffalo and, really wanted to try to get the job done. And the first night the kids played unbelievable, but the second night, kind of the bus legs and everything caught up. We had 5 kids that had played in a varsity game the night before. And, so we took a beating that morning 4-1, and only to come back and they gave an at-large bid last year because one section didn't have enough teams. So,
right.
So North Franklin went. And that was crazy because that became, they're 20 minutes from us. Right. And it was an absolute battle. So I'm thinking on the bench going, I'll be damned. We came all the ways down here and we could be done if we lose this game. So it was everything that it was built up to be, and we wound up taking that game 2-1 and got us over to the crossovers. And then wow, I mean, the kids just did an amazing job and really they played their best hockey on Sunday, which is you always hope. And it was a pretty special moment. It was great to see those families that have been together. Those kids been together since they were like 4. To just do that and bring it home to the North Country and stuff like that was really special. It really was.
Who'd you wind up winning the championship game against?
I was at Jamestown. We had to play in the finals, and it got a little hairy there. We went into the third period up 3-1, and I just told everybody, you got to keep your focus. And they scored an early goal, and I think my son looked at me, he said, "Dad." And I said, "Don't worry, it's not going to happen. Let's just play hockey." And our kids just put the hammer down and wound up finishing them out. I think we won. I think it was 6-3 was the final or something with an open net. But the kids really just did a great job. And it's some of it's a blur, but some of it you look back at the pictures and you go, that was pretty cool. So yeah,
right,
good stuff.
So how'd you keep those kids focused when it went 3-2? Because so my wife has been coaching for a few years, and she said 3-1 is the absolute worst
lead
position
in
to
hockey.
Be in.
Yeah.
You'd rather be the 1 than the 3 oftentimes.
Listen, this weekend is a perfect example of that. I got to tell you guys this, Jay and Matt. Matt, I'll let you answer this question now, but Jay, I'll let you answer this question after. We're playing Messina this weekend, Cameron and Trey's team. We're playing Messina at home. 14U Red, a little nervous playing Messina, thinking, geez, these guys are always really good. Third period, 1 minute and 16 seconds left. We're up 3-1. They pull the goalie. They score a goal, make it 3-2. Right? Get down to 17 seconds left. The puck is in their corner, empty net, in their corner. Our guy backs up off the forecheck, flips the puck about 20 feet in the air, lands in neutral ice, winds up beating our defenseman, who just happens to be on this podcast with you, going in on our goalie and deking him out with 1 second left for a 3-3 tie. So it is the worst lead in hockey.
That's a killer.
Dude, listen, you had 4 out of the 5 kids on our team with those 17 seconds left just swinging, and the puck's not even near them. They're like, it's an empty net. It's an empty net. And I'm announcing, I'm like, oh, what are they doing? They're not even playing. They're swinging at flies in the air. Then I saw Cameron got beat. Yep, it was him.
Well, you were able to keep that 16U team focused. I need some pointers, because I should have called a timeout after 3-2, but I don't know. I was just like, you're not going to give up 2 goals in the last minute of the game.
17 seconds. Come on.
Jonesy and I can talk to you guys about hours about when it's 3-1 and what we did right and what we didn't do right.
Right.
I always talk to my son. He's captain on our 16U team this year, and we were talking a little bit. We took a tough loss last night. We were playing in a game that we dominated the whole entire game. But I give credit. Ogdensburg just put it to us in the third period. We took a couple immature penalties and gave them some opportunities. But, I try to tell my son, it's like a battlefield. You got bullets flying by your head, bombs exploding. You can't waver,
Right.
3-1 stinks. It really does. And, we've been there, but, they scored the second goal. I told the kids before we went out on the ice for the third period, because I knew it was going to be completely emotional. I said, if you can control the space between your ears and take all the emotion out of it until the buzzer goes, you'll probably win this game. You're going to win it because you're a better team. But if you get sucked into all the stuff and you lose focus, that's when things start to go sideways and you just don't know how to control it. So when it came 3-2, I said, I told you guys this was going to be a battle. Let's go. And you know what? They reacted. We came right back and scored like 2 minutes later. And then we were playing downhill the rest of the way, which was great.
Yeah.
So
4-2 is a hell of a lot better than 3-1. I don't know why.
I agree. I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure it out, but it's a work in progress.
I wish when they the other team pulls their goalies, sometimes you could just put a fake goalie in there or something, because
I know
that goalie gets pulled and every kid just wants to, for some reason, it's like a tractor beam. They just want to shoot towards that net.
Yeah, my kids
have a 6-on-5 with the goalie still in.
Right, just let him do it. I know you want the extra attacker. Leave the goalie. Just put the extra guy on.
Put the extra guy on. Yeah, honestly.
Goalie for him.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. I think they see that big empty. We were in the corner. I'm like, guys, you come on, we can finish this thing out. Anyways, at least it wasn't a loss. It was a tie. So
Tie still counts, and I think 2 for that state championship that Jay won last
Who
year.
the hell are you guys? What are you? No, I'm sorry. I still count.
With that state championship that Jay won last year. Jay, what was it? That was our first championship as an association since when? When was it? How long ago?
82.
1982, and it was a C championship then, right? That we had won.
Yep. Yeah, and they had some good teams, back in the day in Malone that, really just we were fortunate enough to win it, but it'd been a long stretch to be able to bring something back that, you kind of worked at and built on. It was neat too, because some of the guys that have worked on our association's board and, actually had some kids that were playing, like, remember those teams, and we're a part of those teams. So it kind of was like, it's been a big gap, but it's back. And, we have high expectations for all of our kids. And I think the big thing is you win a tournament, you win a tournament like that and a title, and it's an unbelievable thing. These kids will never forget it. But I think our focus has really been just the development with the kids and giving them opportunities. And I think that's what pushes Matt and myself when it comes to the girls and the boys. It's like, what else can we do to help these kids? Like, how much more can we push the envelope? Can we open the rink earlier in the season? Can we close it later? Can we have more tournaments? Can we bring in instructors? And there's just, it's endless, but it's fun, because when you start to see the success of just the kids in general, I mean, the wins are unbelievable. They're awesome. But when you just see the success of the kids and, them having fun and smiles on their faces, it's in my opinion, that's what it's all about. It really is.
yep, that's for sure. So I guess one of the things I wanted to say before we move on is really thanks for coming on, and thanks for being part of what we're doing. Thanks for promoting what we're doing. We're trying to get it out there. We're gonna, as the high school season progresses, I was hoping maybe you guys could throw up a softball and connect us with maybe some of the high school coaches up there, so that maybe we could talk to them a little bit about their programs. And I know that's probably a few weeks away, but we'll be in touch for that, because we'd like to do some focus on some of the high school teams. We have a connection with the Canton team and the Ogdensburg team and the IHC team and the Ontario Bay team down here. But it would be nice to be able to talk to some teams up your way as well, to get a little bit more focused on the high school game.
Well, Jay's actually one of our high school assistant coaches from the boys side.
So there we go, Jay. We'll try to get you guys back on and talk a
You
little
keep
bit about high
giving,
school.
Jay. Holy cow. I tell you,
Yeah.
the selflessness that the two of you show, the way you explained wanting to bring in outside people to help your kids just mature and advance is so refreshing to hear. And it's because of reasons like that you're able to let the kids, go out and win championships, right, Jay? It's not about you. You never even thought, you don't think it's always for them. And that's just evident. And that's why they're able to give it back to you tenfold. And I would love to see more people doing that, being as selfless as the two of you guys are, so that we can just keep growing the youth, growing the program, growing the sport for all to share, love, and enjoy, and become Islander fans, right? Let's do it right.
That's the last time of 82. I was thinking whenever he said 1982, I'm like, oh, there we go. We're gonna have an Islander comment from friggin' Dan
See,
Dowling
I
about how
waited
the
for
Islanders-
it. It was coming,
Yeah,
man. It was
82,
coming.
Mike Bossy. Yeah, but I'm gonna hear it all. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Anything else before we jump off?
No, I'd say again, I just appreciate what you guys are doing. It's really awesome. And I know the Adirondack 46ers and Malone Minor Hockey are totally supporting you guys and wanted to help push it as much as we can. So we're sharing it on our social media. We're sharing it with our association, everything and anything that we can do to help continue the great momentum you guys have. Just let us know.
Absolutely.
So
All right,
we're
Matt,
only able
Jay?
to do it because of great associations like your guys,
Yeah,
you
we really
guys,
appreciate
and
it.
you too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks,
very much.
guys. We appreciate it. Cameron, Trey, good luck the rest of the way here.
Thank
Have
you.
Good
Thank you.
seasons. It's great having you guys on, and thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Thanks a lot. We'll be
You
in
got
touch,
it.
guys.
Make it a
Thanks,
great
guys.
day. Bye.
Wow. So great interviews today. It's just absolutely amazing. All the great things that are going on in hockey. And wanted to talk, I guess, maybe give maybe give Trey the stage a little bit. I know Trey wanted to talk a little bit about some hockey that he saw this weekend in Watertown. I think we probably have to wrap it up here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So Trey, I wanted to ask you, I know you made some notes on the 14U red team game and in the 14U white team game. So could you kind of give us an overview of how that went?
So I was going to start off with the trivia first because
Yeah.
I have a trivia question on one of the games tonight.
Yeah. You want to do just one, or you want to do all three questions?
I can do all three.
All right.
Okay, so where are like the pucks that you obviously use in a game? Where are they held before a game in the NHL?
In a freezer?
Freezer.
Yeah, in a freezer, right?
Yep, it's a freezer. And does anyone
Yes.
know why they're held in a freezer?
Yes.
They slide better.
So they don't bounce as much.
Oh yeah, and they don't
Yeah,
bounce.
that
They
is
don't
correct.
bounce.
That is
It's
correct.
in case the ice stops being frozen, they'll float better. No, just.
You totally threw him off on that one. All right, next trivia.
I didn't know what you're talking about there. Question 2. Which Watertown Wolves 14U player had a hat trick over the weekend?
I know the answer to that.
Okay,
I do
so
know the answer to that.
it's not for our team because we didn't have
It
a
was
hat
not.
White team. Does anyone know?
trick.
I do.
I do
Noah
not.
Verkstis had 3 goals in a game yesterday in a 6-5 game, and Noah scored 3 straight goals, I
Yep.
believe, in a
Ooh.
row, which was
2, 3,
absolutely
4.
amazing. It was
Right.
an
What do we
awesome
call
game.
that? Isn't that got a special name?
Is that like a natural hat trick? I think it
No.
is.
Nat-
A natural hat trick is when you score 3 goals and none of them are empty netters.
Oh, okay.
That's what a
Oh,
natural
one of his
hat
was an
trick
empty netter.
No,
No.
so his
Oh.
was a natural hat trick, but
Yeah, I thought the
It's not
natural was
funny.
3 goals in a row. You scored 3 consecutive goals.
nope.
It's not.
What?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We'll have to look it up.
I
can-
challenge you
I
on
can
that,
look it up
Trey.
right now.
You do your next trivia question. I'll look it up.
Okay. Name 3 players on either side from the 1980 Olympic game, Russia versus the U.S.
I will take that on. You ready? I'm gonna go with Jim Craig, Micah Ruzioni, and my favorite player on the U.S. team was Mark Johnson. There's 3 Americans. On the
Okay.
Russian team, there was Vladislav Tretiak, there was Sergei Makarov, there was Boris Mishkin, there was who else? I could just keep going. I know most of those guys. I know I got that right, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually took
sure everyone's
Tretiak out.
watching here.
They changed the goalies, and probably the biggest mistake the Russians made in that 1980 Olympic game was changing the goalie, because he was the best goalie in the world, arguably the best goalie in the world at the time. So yeah, give us an update on good trivia, Trey. I
so
don't know if
according
Van
to
Dalen has the hat trick.
Yeah, according to dictionary.com, natural hat trick definition: a hat trick achieved by a player whose 3 goals are scored consecutively with no
Okay.
player on either team scoring in between. So not
Okay.
just your team, but on either
I don't know
team.
if that happened, Trey. Did it? I don't know if somebody
Uh,
scored in between his goals. I guess we'd have to look at the score sheet to check that out.
No,
that-
people did score between his goals. So
Oh, did they?
it wasn't a natural hat trick, but it was a hat trick. So
Yeah, nonetheless. So tell us about that 14U
first
white game.
first I'll talk about that 14 UI team. So the first goal before any of Noah's goals was Tanner Birkenstock. He scored, made it a 1-0 game. But Messina fought back. Yeah, we just had the Malone guys on, so I was. But then Noah scored 3 consecutive goals for our team, but obviously not a natural hat trick because people scored in between them, as we now have the definition. And then down 6-4 late in the game, we pulled our goalie, and Grant Harris scored while the goalie was pulled, and 6-5 was the final. Lost 6-5 in the past 2 games for the White 14 Watertown Wolves team. So 2 tough losses in a row. And then we have, and the star of that game, I had Noah Varkstis as the star of the game. Then we had the Watertown Wolves 14U Red game. That was the game me and Cam played in. Nicholas Neto gets the early goal, hits the net for the first time in his career. And then
Trey, didn't you get the assist on that, right?
I did.
Yes.
So then that tied the game at 1. And then Blake Gregory scores to go up 2-1. And then some random guy that I don't know scores. I'm not really sure what his name is. And
it might be Cameron Dallett, the Bobby Orr-esque rushing defenseman.
We went up 3-1, and then it went all downhill from there. Really, they pulled their goalie late in the game and scored 2 to tie it up, but it felt like a loss. So
I tell you, I had a fun time calling that game. I wish the video came out better. I would tell people to go watch it, but most of my commentary came out. You can go listen to a lot of it. I actually turned comments on in that game, and I got a lot of comments from Messina parents that were watching the game, or Messina families. So that was kind of cool to see too. They corrected me on how I was pronouncing some people's names, like Balarjan. My God, I didn't have any idea how to say that kid's name. It had so many letters, and the I's were close to the L's. I kept saying it different every time. And one guy corrected me, and I was like, Balarjan. And he's like, yes, that's it. And then he got tagged in the knee and went down. I was like, well, yeah, I know how to say his name though.
Yeah,
but
that was tough.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt, but he was all right.
For the star of that game, I had Nicholas Neto. He hit the net every single time. Didn't miss the net at all. He had a nice goal to tie things up early. So
yeah, he did have a good game. That's a good decision, Trey. And that was a tough one for us to take for sure.
3-3 was the final for that game. Obviously.
Yeah,
and it was an exciting game. It was fun to watch. It was heart and gut wrenching, as good hockey always is. So, and it was in that game, even you could see that neutral zone play evolve throughout that game. There was a big difference in the third period, the way you guys were managing the puck in their neutral zone versus that first period, I thought, from my side of the ice.
Yeah, I would agree.
You were talking about the names. Some hockey names just don't like to have like vowels in them. It makes it pretty confusing.
Yeah, you're right, Trey. Especially some of those NHL games. There's a guy. Wasn't there a guy that had like Frick or something like that from the Detroit Red Wings? It was like FRK. How can that be a name? That can't be a name.
Yeah, how do you say? Is that Furk? I would go Furk.
Yeah,
right?
Furk.
He actually has the record for the fastest shot ever.
Really?
We beat Chara a couple of years ago.
I didn't know that. Hey, so I have one more game to report on, and we got to wrap it up because we're getting to the witching hour here. Kind of a long cast today.
I also do have some college scores.
You want to rip through a few college scores real quick, and then I'll pull this last one off?
Yep. So St. Lawrence played twice, Friday and Saturday, against Lake Superior. Friday they tied 2-2, and then on Saturday they must have been exhausted because they lost 7-2 on Saturday, St. Lawrence, to the Lake Superior. Then Clarkson played on Friday and Saturday as well. They lost to Michigan Tech 3-0 and then won against Michigan Tech 2-1.
Wow.
Colgate had 2 losses this weekend. Once to 5-6 to West Michigan, I believe.
Yep.
And then they lost in overtime 2-1 to Western Michigan again.
Wow.
So that's it for me.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Well, I'll add in on that. RIT men's hockey split with Mercyhurst. Actually, the Friday night they had a 3-3 tie, lost they won in a 2-out shootout victory for the extra conference point, and they won on the 30th 3-1. RIT junior Colby Matthews named Atlantic Hockey Goaltender of the Week, while freshman forward Carter Wilkie got Rookie of the Week on Monday. Second straight and third in 4 weeks for him. Not bad for a freshman, right?
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
Yeah, in the NHL, the player of the week in the NHL was also a goalie, Jacob Markstrom. 3 wins, 2 shutouts, and he had like 94 saves on 95 shots this week. That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's amazing. He's a former Vancouver Canuck, isn't he?
Yeah.
Playing for who? The Calgary Flames now,
Calgary
maybe? Yeah. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So I do have another highlight, and it comes from Piper Gonas. Thanks to Piper, she chimed in and got me some information on another girls hockey game that took place this weekend between Oswego and the TI Pirates. And I want to highlight the TI Pirates girls team because we have some friends that locally that play there. 2 goals scored by Grace Folsom after a couple of penalties and a shaky start in the first period, according to Piper. And then a goal scored by Jensen St. Croix. They were up late in the game. Sounds very familiar. They were up 2-1 when Jensen scored. Then they were up 3-2 and gave one up with 54 seconds left, which seems to be a theme this past weekend, and wound up in a 3-3 tie between the Oswego 14U girls and the TI 14U girls. So shout out to Piper for getting us that information from the field. We appreciate that very much.
Hey, and Buccaneers and Pirates ought to be pretty much a match, right?
Yeah,
it's like the same
thing. Swashbuckling, isn't it, or something like that? I guess. So last but not least, before we wrap it up for the evening, we have our mullet of the week, which we call the Mao, aptly named by the Dandelion. So has everybody made a consensus decision? I think we have, right? Well, why don't we have Cameron, who knows this guy because he's been playing with him for a long time. Why don't we have Cameron, and I'm going to share my screen right as, hold on a second, Cameron, right as you announce it, I'd like to share my screen, and
You gotta get the timing right, just right.
All right, ready, Cam, go.
Yes, it's Daniel. Daniel Keegan is the winner of the Mao, the mullet of the week.
Look at Daniel. Daniel is on the right. Daniel was in a mullet.
Yeah, the picture's not right.
Yeah.
Colin Whitmore.
So Mike, you're
What do
not
we got?
showing you're not showing the
the right
picture, man.
How about this? How about I minimize that and I share my preview? Share. Are they both? You see
There
them
you
now?
go.
There you
Oh,
go.
see, there we go. So we had a mullet off here, and Colin Whitmore, who's a Unity player and is playing down at the Cicero Chill right now, is still on the hunt with about another 8 or 10 guys for a future mullet of the week. But the young man on the left there, boy, he's really sporting some locks.
Mhm.
Looks like he needs to get that bad Larry cut. I'm sure his mom isn't too psyched about it. So
I believe it's the right, by the way.
is it the right? Did I say
No.
the left?
Well, who are you talking about? You still talking about Colin?
No, I'm talking about Daniel. Daniel's
Yeah.
looking
So now Daniel on the right. Absolutely.
Yep.
Daniel's on the right there. And
Yeah.
you can see he's had the sides taken care of.
Looks
Looks
like
like
up.
he almost brushed part of it up in the front. But yeah, he's got that flowing mullet. He's got business up front ish and party going on in the back. It looks great underneath the hockey helmet, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely. So congratulations to this week's winner of the mullet of the week, Daniel Keegan. And Colin, you're still in the hunt for a future mullet of the week consideration. That's for sure. We want to thank our sole sponsor, Power Play Sports, who is going to give a complimentary baseball hat with the Power Play Sports logo on it to Daniel next time he checks in to get his skates sharpened over at Power Play Sports.
Hope you were there for the pig roast. The pig roast was really
Oh
good.
boy, yeah, they had a pig roast over there this weekend. They had a kind of like an opening, and they're showing off their new ice. They have their new ice over there, and I think some of the younger kids were actually skating on it this weekend, so that was really cool.
Yeah, they did a learn to skate program. I think
Yeah.
Sage ran it.
Oh yeah, it was packed. Let me tell you, everybody it was busy. It was a nice thing. They had a big pig roast out front, so we actually saw the Keegans over there. Saw a lot of folks from the association over there. It was a good time. Geez, Dan, I think I'm gonna let you wrap up our close here today because
I was gonna say there's one more thing that I
sure.
think is huge to point out. right, going on this Saturday
Oh,
at
yes.
the Watertown Municipal Rink from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Power Play Sports is sponsoring a Why Try Hockey opportunity. Show up at 5 o'clock. You can get fitted for some hockey gear. So if you've never played hockey or you've always wanted to try, or you did a long time ago and you don't know if you'd like it anymore, whatever the case may be, this is for youth, right? To show up and just try it out. What's it like to skate with all that stuff on? Because it makes skinny kids like these two look pretty big and robust for sure. And so why try hockey? This Saturday, November 6th, you can go to tryhockeyforfree.com. It's all spelled out. Tryhockeyforfree.com. That's tryhockeyforfree.com.
What is it?
What's that?
What is it?
What is it? It's tryhockeyforfree.com.
Wait, one more time. One more time. One more time. So I get it
Try
right?
hockey for free. Yeah.
It's
And again,
it's
Power Play
5:30.
spots.
5:30 to 6 p.m. We're asking people to arrive at 5 so they can get fitted for different things, pieces of equipment, etc. Yeah, and I would have, our ace coordinator, our head hockey coach, John Terry, would have, he wanted to make sure that I got this information out there. So
Yeah. Here you go. Here's the information.
Right there.
Why
you.
try hockey?
Here you go.
Tryhockeyforfree.com.
That's
Right?
awesome.
5:30 to 6:30.
And one more thing before I wrap it up. I'm not quite the Dan Dalen, but we have our little quote that we always say at the end of these.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it away, Trey. It's all you, man.
No, I don't remember it fully.
Ready? Right.
We'll let Dan do it.
So don't wait for it to be a good day. Make it a great day, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Awesome.